Good evening. Another Monday night with bees all day. Well, we heard a lot of good news this week from Cayman about the Expo. He put out the dates 8th, 9th, 10th January 2026 in Louisville. So it's going to be a good one, I think, this year. It's going to be a whole lot easier on everybody to get there. Hey, Charlie, how are you?
Good.
So we starting tonight with good news from Cayman. Hey, Jack and Danette. So that was good news this week. Much unlike some of the other news we got today, but snow tomorrow and Wednesday.
We're getting snow starting, I guess, tomorrow evening.
Yeah, it's starting here tomorrow about 10 to 11.
Okay.
That's what they're telling us.
It'll be here about 6 o'clock.
Yeah. So, hey, Bill, how are you this evening?
I don't know why I'm freezing up.
I don't know. There's Peabody. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good.
I seen your video today, Ryan.
Which one?
The one about new beekeepers and equipment and all that stuff.
Yeah, that was really for the club. Really what it was.
So what's the weather going to be at the weekend? Have you got any clue on that down there?
Rain this weekend.
They're saying
it's supposed to be
like a rain snow mix or something up here, I think.
Saturday night it's going to be here. So Friday's supposed to be pretty good.
You're getting some ice tomorrow, Bill.
Yeah, snow and ice. It's going to start about 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. And it's going to start as snow and end up as freezing rain and ice tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw your spot right in that purple for the ice.
Yep. We always end up in the middle of it. So were you on Cayman's Live the other night?
Mayor.
No.
Right. Yeah, I saw I'll be going to that expo next year.
Yeah, well, that's good. More the merrier.
Yep. Yeah, my oldest daughter, her birthday's January 7th, so we're gonna have to celebrate that on the 6th.
Yeah.
Because I'll be traveling on the 7th. Me and my dad are gonna drive down there.
Yep. Hey, Tom and Melissa. Clay's in here. Go ahead, Charlie.
It says it's supposed to snow here, quit by Wednesday morning. And it says Friday's supposed to be nice here as far as traveling goes. And then Saturday, they said like a 50% chance or something like that. I don't know, rain snow mix or something of that nature.
Yeah, they're saying here for Saturday it's supposed to start raining around 3:30 on Saturday. So we'll get y'all out of here. Everybody that's coming from out of state Saturday, we'll get you out of here quick.
So for that expo that Cayman puts on, I was searching hotels around that area, and I couldn't book anything that far out.
No, they will announce hotels probably sometime May or June timeframe, since we already have the dates, because they get discounts for people for certain hotels. They get a discount rooms.
Now, is that something I have to be on top of, or does it sell out, or?
It sells out quick.
Sells out.
So I be on top of it.
Are you on Cayman's? Are you on the Nabi website or the Facebook page?
Yeah, I'm on the Facebook page. Yeah, I check his website.
Yeah, the day they announce it on there is the day you need to get your rooms and tickets
Okay.
because it sells that pretty quick. And this year he's talking about 4,000 people.
What about what's like the ballpark price per night average?
Depends on where you stay. I've never stayed at the Crown Plaza because it's kind of expensive, I think. I stay at the Home 2 Suites by Marriott, no, not Marriott, by Hilton. That's over outside of gate 2 and 4. And that's pretty reasonable. So it runs 130, 140 a night, something like that.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And I stay at the, let's see, what is it? The Hilton? Yeah, I stay at the Hilton.
Yeah, he stays at the Hilton.
I stay at the Hilton, which is right at gate 4.
Yep.
And
Yeah, I saw the
now
Hilton.
this year, gate 4 was closed, but you can drive out of the parking lot at the hotel and go right through the gate. You got to go around it's like there's a 2 or 3 lane road encompasses this conference hall. It's like it's got its own interstate going around it. And you drive around it till you kind of get around to where them other hotels are, and then you turn in onto the parking lot and park.
Yeah.
Now, of course, it's this year they raised the price of parking. It's $15 a day, but you can go in and out as many times as you need. It used to be $12, but you couldn't leave. You know, you couldn't go back to the hotel.
Right.
Thing.
Hey, Mark.
They get you that way. That's just the way it is. It's just the way it is.
Well, Cayman mentioned something about possibly making it 4 days. Also.
Yeah, because they're going to have some workshops, and he feels like they need another day. Hey, JT, Kathy, good to see you in here tonight.
Yeah,
John and Westcliff, good evening.
Hey, let's see, Randy Tar Heel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's I think my room was 130, 140, something like that. And as long as you got about 6 months in advance. When he releases when he says tickets are going to go for sale, then that's when you really need to get your rooms booked up.
Yeah.
But I've been staying at the same place for the last 2 years. And
yeah, so have we. Yeah, we like it there.
I stay at the Hilton there, right at gate 4 the first year. And we just drove right out of there and down that gate. And then this year we had to go out on the main road and go down about a couple blocks and then gate 3 or 2 or whatever it is off to the left. And the other hotels, you kind of walk over there to it, but it's a pretty good walk. And number one, and number two, it's pretty damn cold.
Yep.
And I ain't, this year was kind of cold and, it would get a little windy or whatever.
Now, most of the hotels do have a shuttle that'll run you from the hotel to over there and back. And they run all day long.
Yeah, like every hour, 45 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, all you got to do is, over at the Hilton, you get a hold of the bus driver's phone, and all you got to do is either call him or text him, and he comes and gets you.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's
hey,
good.
Andy, I saw you in here come in. He's with Magnolia Bee Supply.
Where
down in Texas.
Who's this?
Andy Knight. He's with Magnolia Bee Supply down in Texas.
Mm. So, but I might say that's where I stay. I know Bill stays just down a block or so from me, from what I.
Yeah. Gate 4 was closed because they're putting a roundabout in there.
Well, actually, they're making gate 4 as big and grand as this is what I think it was the hotel telling me that they're making that gate as modern as the gate number 1 is.
Oh,
so
okay.
So gate number 4 must be a hot spot.
Yeah, it's easy to get in and out of because I think
Well, I
that's what
think
they
another thing of it
advertise.
is, is gate 4, where the hotel is. If you go straight across the road on the intersection, uh, the what's it called? What's the darn racetrack? The Kentucky
Churchill Downs.
Churchill Downs is 5 minutes away.
Yeah,
So you figure when the Kentucky Derby's rolling, and they're wanting to put trailers or people or whatever,
horses, whatever.
they're going to store stuff over there at the Expo Center or something like that. So it's a straight shot. And I guess they want to keep all that running and flowing. And all that stuff. So, but yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Well, the shuttle thing is nice because going with my dad, he might not want to sit in on a speaker or something. He can go back and hang out at the hotel.
It's either that or he's going to be on the where the vendor floor is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to figure
AGC.
that there's 10 aisles on the vendor floor this year.
Right.
I look for the vendor area to get bigger this coming year.
I don't know. I mean, how much more? I don't know how much more bigger, but I guess. I mean, the food got better. I have to say that much. So what little,
Yeah.
it's expensive as hell, but
Yeah, it was expensive, but it was better than last year.
Were you guys one of the people waiting in line for like 3 hours or whatever to get in?
No,
I was there. Well, Bill's a vendor, so
I come in the back door.
But I was out there right at the front door there for about 2.5 hours. But you're socialized. I mean, I got there early. Number one, I wanted to get my car parked closest to the door as possible because I had product to pick up. I also got there early around 10 o'clock to go in the back door to pick up product from Bill's. And it was cases of frames. So I had all that in the car. And then I had my smalls and stuff that I had to pick up for some other people.
Tom, don't get that rumor started. Please don't get that rumor started.
And so I got parked there. And then one thing that they changed this year is they let the people who were competing in the honey show, they got to go in about an hour and a half ahead of time.
Yeah.
So they could get all those people and all their products, placed. And because it takes a lot of time to do that.
How do you qualify to compete?
Show up with your honey in your hand and register.
Huh.
Well, I think, and then also online, you got to go onto the Nobby website.
Yeah, you got to.
And download the rules and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you're talking how many entries you figure? What, 2,000 or 3,000?
Yeah, they had a bunch of them. I don't remember how many they had last year.
It's the biggest competition in honey, probably in the United States, if not the world.
Well, it rivals the Georgia State Honey Show. So
that'd be hard competing for taste against people with sourwood and stuff like that.
They don't judge it on taste.
Oh, they don't?
No.
Okay.
It's all about presentation.
Yes, it's all presentation.
Now they do have black jar for taste.
Yeah, they do. It's presentation, attention to detail, and that's the way it's judged. And of course, they have wax and photography, baked goods, you name it, they got it. So,
like Castle Highs, Brian, he had the Queen Right dial and his thing that he invented here a couple of years ago. Well, they entered that into that show under products for beekeeping and won a blue ribbon and all.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. They had anyway, they got in there first, and I stood there, and me and Mr. Ed and Wreck-It Ralph and all the other video guys are hanging out there and talking. And I didn't, I've seen Mr. Ed or Jeff Horshoff, but we kind of got to really talk to each other. And then also along with Wreck-It Ralph and there's fella out there in Kentucky there. I can't think of his name is. I think it's Jason. I got to meet him. I watch his videos some. And then that's when the line built. Huh? Oh Darren? Yeah, Darren. I seen Darren out inside the show, in the area, in the vendor area where I met him. And then the biggest thing is hopefully if everything goes well, we're going to have another No Life Beekeepers party, event party, and that's where everybody in the chat here, we all were able to, everybody was coming. We got there the night before, and we had a big pizza party type thing, and we were able, you had 3 hours of quality time of meeting and greeting everybody, finally getting to meet each other in person.
Yeah.
That was really nice.
Yep, it was really good.
And hopefully we can find a bigger spot. And then at that party, I mean, we exchanged honeys if you wanted to do that, and we had about 11 door prizes we gave out, and it was at a pizzeria place, so people that got pizza or subs or whatever they wanted to eat, they paid for it themselves, and it was fun. We just have to find a bigger place. We need a place that holds at least 100, maybe 150 people. And then, of course, that comes with the expense of the hall and trying to find parking and all that too.
Yeah. It was. And Nobby, it's an experience. It's not just a bee show or a conference. It's an experience.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
You got to remember something. It's YouTube driven.
Yep, very much so.
Pretty much everybody that goes there is either on YouTube or a YouTube creator, or you have your vendors, and then you have people that that maybe they're not on YouTube but they know about it because of it, or there's commercial guys also that come there. So and there's a lot of sideliners and things like that. And I mean, I'm usually on that chat before my chat on Friday nights, and there was a couple people that they said they were there, and I said, well, I didn't see you. I said, where were you at? But when you got 3,000 to 4,000 people there, it's hard to find everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why you guys do that dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was Ricky Rourke started that 2 years ago on the first one in Kentucky. Hey, I'm going to have a little get together. So we had 40 people. And then this year, Tom and Melissa was kind of poking fun at me about me having the dinner. And then we collaborated together. And I have to say that Melissa, she did a lot of pretty much the legwork of it. She finally found a place and came up with, the thing where you don't buy a ticket, but you get a ticket knowing that, we know how many people are coming in.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. So it worked out great. It was tight. We had about 60 some people there, but we had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And all that stuff.
Yeah. I can't wait.
Just like, I've seen the pictures with, Todd and Melissa and then they came on, what was it? Saturday night, I think on, it was on Joey's channel, and they had an after dinner party and they all, were hanging out together.
Yep.
That's what it's all about. At least that's what it is for me, is the friendship, the camaraderie that we have.
Well, Charlie, I went down a rabbit hole in that prison. I started Googling, watching YouTube that Joey was talking about.
What is it now?
The
What?
prison that Joey was
Oh,
talking about. Yeah. I started Googling it and watching videos. Like,
yeah,
God.
because I watched your face. I said, yeah, he was in there for 27 years.
Yeah, I'm
He
not gonna lie, I kind of thought
he was an inmate. Instead of
Oh
working
my
it, he
God.
was an inmate.
You had me for about a second.
Mm.
Hey, Bill, I got a question for you. I got a piece of beekeeping equipment. I want to see if you know. You probably know what it is, but I want to see if you know what it is. So
All
a
right.
friend of mine got out of beekeeping. He gave me all of his stuff he had, and this piece of equipment was in that box, and I had
How old is he?
I found it online, so it's not old. But anyways,
Okay.
I had no idea what it was. So I don't know if you want to pull me up big.
Oh, that's a.
So here's. Do you have any idea what this is?
Yeah,
I got an idea, but it looks like a it's got the queen excluder on front, so it keeps her from getting out, but it's like a swarm stopper or a swarm box.
It's a swarm catcher for a
Yeah.
hive.
Yep.
So this part your hive would be here, right here.
Yep.
This would go in the entrance, and this bar you would leave open. So
Closes it off.
the bees would come in and out here.
Yep.
But when the hive swarms, she can't get out here, and all the bees collect in the inside of this box, and then you move this bar, close off the back, take it and move it.
Move it to another hive and open the bar up, and they go
and open the bar up. I thought that was pretty
Yep.
cool. I would never use it, but
no, that was a pretty slick invention back in the 80s.
Yeah, I was looking at it when I got it out of there. I'm like, what in the heck is this thing?
I've seen that before.
I had no clue.
Something similar to that.
Yeah.
With that screen on the front.
Yep.
Now, next.
Yeah, I'm sitting there scratching my head. I finally found it. One of the companies still sells it. I forget who it is.
Well, I know it's not Manlake or Dedan. It might be Miller. It might be Miller.
It was, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe it was Miller.
Because I think they're the ones that came up with it.
Yeah, I would never use it. I don't understand. I mean, I'm not sure. You would have to. I don't know. I mean, it's about the size of a package, like a 3-pound package.
Yep. But see, the thing is, it's got to be timed right when you put that on there. It's got to be timed exactly right.
Yep.
So, and if you miss closing that door, she's either going to go back in, or a lot of the bees are going to go back in.
Right.
So you got to be standing there watching them when they do it.
Yep. It makes me wonder, when they do swarm, are the workers the first ones out the door? Does the queen leave first, or
No, well, the queen's not going to leave before the workers, because she's got to have an entourage with her.
Right. Well, yeah. They all leave at a similar time, so.
Right. And if they've slimmed her down so she can fly, they've done their job the right way. She's going to go through that excluder anyway.
That's another thing I was wondering too, about exactly what you just said.
Yep.
Because she's going to be smaller to be able to fly.
That's right. And still, even at that, she can't fly very far before she's got to stop.
So it's a drone catcher then. You have a bunch of drones in there.
It probably would be.
Big old box of drones.
Yeah. Well, that's a pretty interesting piece of equipment, though. It's been a while since I've seen one.
Yeah, that'll just sit.
You need to try it this year
Yeah.
and see if you can get it to work.
Well, the thing is, I make my bottom boards. So I already tried to put it, where a box would sit. I already tried to stick it in there, and it won't fit between my entrance. I'd have to cut this down probably.
Oh, okay.
It's made
that
for
makes sense. Yeah.
It's made for a specific, I guess, one of Miller's bottom boards.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
did we get
DC
anybody-
says it might make it for an interesting experiment.
Yeah.
So anybody get in their hives today?
No.
Check feed or anything?
I walked through the yard today, but I didn't open anything up because the wind was blowing pretty good.
Yeah, well, it was relatively calm here today, and it actually got up to between 40 and I don't know 40 for being at I don't know. Last week 40 degrees was cold, and today 40 it got up to around 41 degrees, but it was sort of the sun was shining pretty hard. I guess against that building, it kind of made a microclimate, and my bees were flying today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sun was warm.
And
Ours were too, but it was windy.
but I went through mine and just checking feed, and most of them didn't need any sugar bricks. Pretty much all of them needed a pollen patty. Actually, I'm out of my pollen already. So,
You didn't make it. You almost made it.
no, I mean I had the one hive that was really super strong. It had about 3 pounds of bees up on the lid. And I had put a whole strip of pollen in there, and they had ate over half of it in there.
Wow.
And so, and then the other ones, the pollen was totally gone. There was a few hives that I did put some bricks in. They weren't empty, but they were close to it. And, but I had enough pollen and there were some hives that didn't need any pollen at all. They're kind of weakish as, and all that. But, so like I say, fed all the pollen patties. They're good for at least a week or more.
Hey, Matt.
So, that's where I'm at with the bees.
Weather doesn't look very good for
No, it
me
doesn't.
getting it.
Yeah, I walked down through the bee yard today and they're all flying, but wind coming out of the southwest, so I wasn't going to open them up. So, not today.
Well, I figured I'd get in today, and then the rest of the week is crap.
Yep.
So it's like last week. Last week, Monday was the better of the 2 days, Monday and a Tuesday, and then after that, it went downhill all the way.
Yeah.
Hey, where is Highland honey from, Charlie?
I don't know.
You got that written down?
Let me see. No, I don't.
Where are you from, Highland Honey? Missouri Ozarks. So does anybody have an update on what's going on with the commercial bees out in California? Anybody know anything about what's going on out there? I don't know if there's been any updates or not. I haven't seen anything from Blake Shook or any of those guys yet about it.
There's an official video out there by your buddy. I'll think of it here in a minute. Not David Burns.
Well, Blake's Facebook post went viral, so I mean, it was all over the internet. Somebody,
Yeah, I know.
they're on it.
Yeah, they're all over it.
Because beekeepers, man, we don't get the help. If we had 80% cattle loss, I mean,
Oh, they'd be all over it. USDA would be all over top of it.
right.
So at least you have plenty of bees to test. Yeah, you're right about that. USDA is going to be testing and testing and testing and testing. But I think as soon as they get done with that first group, they're going to know what it is when they get that first group finished. So
Well, the thing of it is, though, are they just going to test for the same old 10 things that they normally test for, or they're going to try to figure out, or are they going to see whether or not there's something new out there that they've never seen before?
Yeah. Well, that's what they needed to start doing, but I don't
go
know.
Through all the locations where those bees were at in 2024, get a list of all the pesticides that were sprayed and see if there's any new ones on there.
That's true. They should, but that doesn't mean they're going to do it because, well, I'll keep that one to myself. I'm not going to go there.
You know, like Via or Tom and Melissa, they can only test, or they only will allow them to test. You know, I mean, they're supposed to be scientists. They're supposed to figure out something.
Yeah, they're supposed to figure out what's going on. And they're supposed to use everything at their disposal to test even for new stuff too, and see if there's anything else that's come in or come up that they don't know about yet.
But anyway, you know, it'll come around whenever. If it was cattle, they're talking food sources for the humans, so that's a different story.
Well, you know,
these are food sources.
The bees are food sources too. I mean, when you've got beekeepers losing $139 million, $140 million in money in bees, and the almonds aren't getting pollinated properly in Central Valley, California, you know, that's the problem.
I get it, but I'm looking at, you got this much affected versus if it was a cattle, it would be 3/4 of the country or 99% of the country.
But then again, you've got everybody that's not going to get their almond milk. So, yeah.
Does the United States export almonds?
I don't know.
I think the United States is like 80% of all the almonds in the world come from in the valley out there, because the location and the weather and everything is the absolute best to grow them out there. And we're talking, I think, about 1.5 to 2 million acres of almonds a year growed out there, something like that.
At least, yeah.
But they're going to turn the water off and make them, and they won't have nothing to grow anyway.
Right.
Of course, they are getting rain out there right now. They're supposed to get flooding and whatever. So, I don't know. It's whatever.
Hey, Tiny Creek.
I don't know. So we're going into work tonight or not? Are you off?
I'm off till Friday.
Yeah. But I don't know. Like I say, back to the bees.
So where are you hearing that from, DC?
I think Shook made mention of that.
Did he?
Yeah, it was in the interview there with Alberto. He talked about they would normally add 20% more bee. You know, they would want 20% more bees. So if that amount didn't make the grade, you know, they'd still have enough for their contracts.
Yeah.
And now it's like 40 or 50% more if they can find them. And all that.
The from what I'm hearing right now, it's just in the commercial side of the pollinators that had these big bee losses.
Yeah, it
Am
sounded
I
like
right, Charlie?
people,
What's
yeah, people that move their
Yeah.
bees.
I was reading what he says Harris. I'm not sure who Harris is. Was telling me that brokers are being short and looking for grade. They're always grading the bees. I mean, Bracken will tell you that.
Yeah. South America and Australia has the almond orchards coming into maturity. So the pollinate, if they come into maturity and they start pollinating down there, it'll be the pollination here for almonds will be cut back some, I think.
Your friend out there talking about South Africa and Australia.
South America. South
And,
America and Australia.
yeah, and that'll drive the market price down.
Yep, it will.
You know, it's just like around here, there was people who grow roses, and you know, and they needed an American price for them. You know, that say Valentine's Day. Well, all them guys, they had a thing on one of them 60-minute type shows. You said, yeah, they started bringing them out of Mexico and the other places south of us, and pretty much put them out of business.
Yeah.
And, you know, because of cheaper prices.
Yep. I mean, pollination in this country is big business. Don't get me wrong, but you know, it. I think it's going to be a wake up call. This is. So.
Well, they had talked years ago about making robotic pollinator things like mechanical bees and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and that was sort of a little bit of a scare there for a while.
DC, you're right. It is. It's very hard on the bees.
Hey, Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
I watched a documentary. I think it was Japan. They use like little Q-tips and pollinate like that.
Yeah.
I think it was China. And what it was, they sprayed so darn much DDT and you name it over there. They killed everything over there.
Yep.
And it was one of them, an apple tree or something, where they pollinated it with a feather, every blossom. And then they came back and they put a bag and tied a piece of yarn around it. So there's these trees with these paper bags around the fruit. And I don't know whether that was supposed to protect the fruit or that's how that ripened or something like that. The balloons.
I've not heard of that one.
Yeah, the robotic drones.
Yeah.
What do the balloons do?
I don't know. Maybe they're throwing it out and making it wind pollination.
Gary.
Gary. Here's what Gary said. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out and see exactly what caused this.
If they
So
find out.
they'll figure it out eventually. Hopefully, it's not too late when they figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was also reading another article that just said it was one of those years where everything stacked up on those colonies where it was just too much for the bees, and it hit them in the winter because in the fall they all looked good apparently.
That's what they were saying.
Yep.
So
That's what they've
whatever,
been saying.
it could be nothing, and the bees were just had enough. We're not sure.
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out eventually what's going on, but it's something that the USDA really does need to get off their duffs and figure it out as quick as they can. So,
Chem streams from the airplane.
chemical streams.
Yeah, but that's what they, the jet streams.
Yeah.
A lot of people say that too. I don't know. It just
Come on in here, JW.
I mean, now we got we actually have, drones, spraying our crops now.
Yeah.
You see
So
what
Tom
Melissa
explained CCD.
came up with? Nothing.
Yeah.
And who was the guy that was looking into that?
Earl Hoffman. No, I don't know who.
He was
said
just
they
talking.
spent millions.
She was just talking with him. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he was talking with Earl Hoffman about it. Come on in here and explain it, Tom. I mean, I've got a theory as to what it could be, but those bees are stressed, moving them around, and their diets probably aren't real good. And
I haven't seen the email.
With everything that's going on with them, it could be Nosema serrano. Could be. I mean, it's those symptoms.
Well, my
if you
thing
look
is,
Nosema serrano up, it's the exact same symptoms for what they were describing. So, but they've got to test for it at USDA to be sure.
and you got all the weather changes too, and then they're forcing those bees to build up before anything natural, before they're getting the natural stuff.
Yeah.
By using the sugar water and then the protein, and
Yep.
and it's just not natural for the honeybee. But they have to have those high grades going over there in those hives.
Yeah, and those bees are super stressed, and it doesn't do their gut any good when they get super stressed.
And something I don't know, and maybe you or Charlie can tell me, why are bees not? Why don't they stay on the almonds? Is it because there's so many acres? There's nothing after that bloom.
There's no forage out there whatsoever.
Yeah, none.
So it wouldn't make sense for an almond grower to purchase his own bees.
No.
Okay.
Unless he's got something else in the area that he can pollinate.
Okay.
Yeah, Bill, I know it's always something that's way farming goes, one thing after another. Trust me, I know that for a fact. You are 100% correct on that one.
I just read it. Go ahead with it as far as I'm concerned. It's better than what we have now. Main thing is make sure that the molestation we're covered underneath of that.
Come on in here and talk to us, Andy. No, I don't think it's bird flu, Gary, but you never know. I mean, it could be anything at this point, you know? Well, you figure it takes what? How many hives does it take per acre to pollinate the almond groves?
I got no idea.
I don't either. I know one way I can find out.
Yeah, with those egg prices going up, my little 5 chickens out back doing good right now.
Well, with this bee die off, Canada had this the last 2 years. Ian had it a couple years ago. And before that, everybody else around Ian had it. And then the next year, Ian got it. Everybody else kind of got over it. And then last year, Brad had a lot of die off. And this year, James out there in Alberta had a lot of die off, got hit with something. And they were contributing to the drought, as far as what was happening, where the nectar source would come in for a week and then dry up for 2 weeks and come in for a week. Whether that puts stress on the bees, I don't know. And that kind of stuff. Hey, Andy.
So it takes 2 to 4 bee hives per acre, double deep, to pollinate 1 acre of almonds, and the average almond orchard is no less than 100 acres. And it also depends on tree density and the age of the orchard.
I do know,
and probably the type of almond, I would guess.
Yeah.
And then you figure I think the last time I heard, there was like 1.2 million acres of almonds out there.
A lot.
Wow.
So what do you mean? What do you got? You got some almonds you milk with a milker, and then that's for almond milk, and the almonds.
Is it milk? Come on now.
I figured had the one almond tree, and it's your milk. It had four what do you call them? Nuts hanging down.
There's some teeth. Well, then you have the GMO almond, right? That doesn't necessarily require pollination, but the studies showed that the yields, when they do provide pollinators, their yields were better, but they didn't have to provide as many. So that kind of cuts that 2 to 4 down a little bit. But those are not the majority, from what I understand anyway. I do not do this. More student of what they do and how they do it than anything.
Yeah. So in 2023, there was 1.56 million acres of almonds in California, and this year in 2024, there was 1.52 million acres of almonds in California. The acreage decreased by 47,000 acres.
That's when they turned the water off.
Yeah, that's when they turned the water off.
Yeah, they
So,
did. They
and
just
they
dried
turned
up.
it back on again here recently.
I don't think
So
so.
you don't think they did?
No, I think that's law in California. They have to curb their water production. So this is what I've heard when I was at the ABF right after Nabi this year. I missed the full pollen or the full almond report, but some of the mumbling going on was that the state laws that they put in place to help with their water issues, because they feast or famine, right?
Yeah.
And so to try to find balance in that, they have put restrictions in how much water can be used for irrigation and agricultural use.
Well,
So
Todd was on here. He lives out there in Fresno, and if you have a farm out there and your water rights, you pay so much money a year, and let's say it's 100,000 gallons of water, you only get 10% of that, but you still pay the full amount for 100,000.
yeah.
And then all on top of all that, most of California more or less is a desert on the south side, and the north is where all the water is coming from, and they're piping it down through there. But is what Todd was saying is that, instead of making ponds or reservoirs to capture all this excess water and stuff, I think of course, they rely on the snow loads in the mountains, and they put lakes up there to capture the melt and all that, and they were draining them ponds, thinking they're going to have an overflow, and they let all this good fresh water go right out into the Pacific Ocean instead of making preparations and building more, reservoirs, lakes, or whatever you want to call them in the area. So it's, because of all the tree huggers and stuff that out there, they don't want to do all that. So, they'll wake up
Yep.
one
So
day.
then it just becomes a financial equation, right? There's only so
Yeah.
much margin.
Just like right now, you can ask Mark Miller here, who's a truck driver. You can't go into that state with an old diesel truck. It's
Yep.
got to be late model, EPA, most efficient truck there is, or electric, which they ain't got yet. Well, there's some out there, but nobody has them, as far as commercially. And right now, they're hauling loads of freight to the border and dropping it on this side of the border, and then somebody else that's got a truck that's okayed by that state out there to hook up to that freight and take it on into the state of California, and that just drives the price of goods sky high and all that. So
Yeah, because they're double handling the freight.
yeah, but it's over the emissions crap.
Yep.
Mark said build a wall around California.
Yeah, just let it fall off. Just let it fall off in the ocean.
Yeah. Shake it one time real good and see if it'll fall.
It gets shook enough. And all that stuff. So there's their problem. It's just like they all want electric out there. They want everything to be electric, but yet they have no means to generate that much electricity in order to do anything.
Yeah.
And that's what this whole country's that way. They want everything electric, but hey, we don't have enough generation plants to do that. So where are we going to put all the nuclear power plants in? Or where are we going to put all the coal fire power plants in? Or let's block up a few more rivers and put some more hydro on. It ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do that. Mark says California no longer lets owner operators in. There you go.
Got to be a commercial freight line.
Well, what he means is it's got to be a corporate outfit.
Yeah. You got to be a corporate driver for a corporate freight line. Bring back rail cars. Yeah, good luck getting a train into California.
I heard
Unless it's electric.
Where did I hear this? On the train comment. They actually used to move bees by rail.
Yeah.
I I didn't realize that. Maybe I should have, but
I mean, you got to figure AI Root back in 19 or 1890s. He was the guy, I think it was AI Root up there. He realized that in order to get, you want early bees with the queen and all that, he says, I got to get somebody down south to grow me some
Yeah.
bees. And he said, I'll pay anybody that can send me a box of bees, a package. And of course, we didn't have interstate, so it was everything was trained back then.
Yep.
That
Yeah,
was
okay.
the most mass transit way of doing things. If you can get bees from, let's say, Georgia to New York State without them dying, I'll give you so much money at the time. You know, as a,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I'll give you a prize, a prize money over
Yeah.
and on the amount of for the bees. He was the one who started the package bee business. So people came up with different ideas in order to what do we got? 2 Peabodys, and to figure out a cage mechanism with the sugar water like we got today and all that stuff in order to get them shipped for them to survive the trip.
Yeah. And Nancy said you're right. It was AI Root.
Yeah, well, so he, because of him, that's how the package bee industry started
Yeah.
and all that. It's just like the quilt box. Why did they call it a quilt box? Because they put quilts in there because we didn't have styrofoam insulation.
Yeah.
And there's writings where the thing of it was, from what I gather, AI Root and the Date Ant family, I think it was Date Ant family, one of all them old folks back then, they were like pen pals to each other. They were writing letters backwards and forwards and commenting, you know, just like what we're doing here in the chit chat off to the right hand side, where it's instantaneous. They were writing, you know, they were experimenting and writing up how to make queen cells and what they figured out themselves. And they would converse back and forth through, I don't know whether they were sending direct letters. I think it was maybe when Root started the American Bee Journal or something like that is when they were, you know, having all this writings backwards and forwards, and they still got all those pieces of letters and archives and stuff. And he talked about putting the bees in the cellars, and you know, up in New York being cold, they actually put them inside a root cellar, kept them at a certain temperature, just like they do in Canada today, and things
Yeah,
like that.
because it's 50 degrees year round in a root cellar.
Yeah.
But you know, Charlie, you talk about all the way they used to write letters. I mean, you ought to be able to remember as a boy, just like me, the Pony Express. It might take 30 days to get a letter.
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing of it is, you know, the Pony Express, the actual Pony Express, that only lasted for about a year or two. And then they got rid of it. Because then they started coming with the, I think the Stagecoach.
Yeah, stagecoach and the train.
Stagecoach and the train took all that
Yep.
stuff over with. And all that.
And then somebody invented the airplane.
Yeah. You know,
I like Clay's comment. That's how it is now to get a letter. Yeah, I think we're regressing in the postal service. But so let's get back on topic with bees here.
oh, we're talking about it. It's a history of bees tonight.
Yeah, it is. Little history. So, Mark had a good comment back there a while ago.
So Andy, I don't know you. Are you the fellow out in Texas? Or
yeah, we met Charlie 2 years ago at Navi. We had dinner at Cracker Barrel.
oh, okay, all right.
Charlie's getting old. He probably forgot.
I don't know. I mean,
and then we were at the same hotel you guys were in too, and we chit chatted one morning, and then one evening, I don't remember if it was the last night or whatever, we all ended up going over to Cracker Barrel for dinner.
It was
So
you and me, and then maybe
yeah, there were like 6 of us, I think.
was it
My wife would
Lee?
have been with us.
Lee and his wife.
Yeah,
Lee, Kodiak Farms Lee.
I
I
don't
think.
remember all the names. I just can kind of remember the faces.
There was a
So,
grouping of us. They were all in kind of different little small groups on the
yeah,
tables and stuff like that.
that's right. Yeah. Yeah, and we had I think that was the year we had a guy named Scott with us as well. So yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, now Roy wants to know if anybody's using a timing box for grafting.
God, I haven't heard of that in years.
No, I mean, I know that my friends down in Georgia that are raising queens, they do it all the time.
Yeah,
But
I haven't heard of it up here in years.
I mean, with a timing box, I mean, if you're raising hundreds of queens, yeah, that's the way to go.
Yep, it is.
But if you're only raising, like for me, if I'm raising 30 queens in a batch once a week type of thing, that's where you're raising queens and you're grafting and you're putting them in cell builders every day. And then that also means that you're doing that every day at a Pacific time. That's what they do down in Georgia. Every day at, I think they started I think it's 11 o'clock. It's either 11 or, because lunchtime comes in. It's either 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning every day at a certain time. I'll say 10 o'clock for 2 hours. They're grafting, I don't know, 2,600 cells or more. And then they put them in 4 or 5 cell builders out there. They're putting probably 60 cells in a box. And they let them sit there for a day, I think 24 hours. And then I've never seen them take them, but they take them out of there and then they take them to a cell finisher area.
Yeah.
And
It's a big rotation every day.
Yeah, they got probably 25 hives out there that are just cell builders.
Yeah.
And then in the back there, well, that was this past year we were down there. On one side of the road was where the cell builders were. That was the first time he would take us there. They're real cautious about where they have their stuff. They don't let a lot of people know. And then we went across the other road into this little wooded area. And that was where they had, I don't know, 1,000 two queen mating boxes.
2 frame mating boxes or 2 queen?
Well, it looks like a small version of a deep, well, it's not so much of a more of a medium box, but just, I don't know, maybe 16 inches square or something, because they got a feeder in the center and they got like 2 or 3 mini frames to the back and 2 or 3 in the front. There's a queen on both sides. They have different directional as far as holes for the queens to go out of. And they got a couple bees in there. And then the feeder feeds both sides of the queen for each queen side. And that's where everybody taught, you see the old little wooden stools, that they have the bee stools. Well, that's what they use them for. They still use those. You sit on the stool and they got a cubby pocket on either side and in between your legs. And you get empty queen cages on the left. And then you got a pocket there for the little corks. And you go into that hive area and you go and you find the queen and then you plop 6 pendants in there and then plug her up with a cork and then you shove her. There's usually right between her legs, there's a hole there that's got a cavity that you throw the queens in there.
Yeah.
And then they do all that all day long. And then go back, and then they might do that. They might pull, let's say, Russians that morning, and then they'll come back with a second crew. One crew will restock those boxes with a queen cell. They might be Russian. They have different, let's say, they might have a JCB. All the red cups are Russian. all the blue ones might be Italians, and they'll put cells in all them hives, and that's what they do in the after. And then they also have a couple watering cans where they take and they pour 1-to-1 corn syrup or whatever it is that you're using down there. Probably corn syrup. They're getting a tractor and trailer load a week down there. So that's what they do down there, but that's where the timing box comes in. And they're every day they're moving that frame over. It's I took a video of it. It's on my YouTube channel where it is Trip to Georgia. I think it's either the first or second one episode. And even myself, I had to sit there. I got him to explain that progression of how you move them frames across. And there's a queen excluder in that box. And I had to watch that thing like 5 times in order to finally get the countdown, the progression of that, everything. But today, when it comes to timing box, you can go to Better Bee and get those cages where you put the whole frame inside. You can put the whole frame that doesn't have anything in it. Put the queen on there. It's like a queen excluder on both sides. Let the nurse bees go in there and take care of the queen, and she'll lay all up. And you keep her in there for 3.5 days to 4 days at the most. And you got the right age larvae. Or let's say if you watch it really close.
Yeah.
And you write down, if you check it, let's say at 1 o'clock during the daytime, and you check it 3.5 days later at 1 o'clock or 3 days later at 1 o'clock, then you can pick that frame up and see whether or not all you do is see is jelly. If you see jelly with nothing else floating in there, you got the perfect graft.
I got feedback somewhere. It's a humming.
I don't know. Is it me?
I don't know. It stopped.
It might be me. There's some 3D printers running behind me.
That's it. There it is. I hear it.
Yeah, I see a little green thing back here.
Yep.
It's moving back and forth. What are
You
we
got one of
printing?
those? You got one of those big 3D printers, Andy?
Yeah, I've got 4 of them right now that are cooking. 3 bamboo P1P, P1S's, and 1 Creality K1 Max.
Who was it, Charlie?
So they're all
unlikely
printing.
beekeeper. I forgot his name.
Scott.
Scott.
Scott, he's got a print farm. He's got 12 machines, I think it is.
Yeah, he's got nice stuff.
I just have a garden. I don't have a farm.
Yet. You don't have a farm yet.
There's got to be some constraints put in the system.
Yeah,
So they're printing bee equipment actually at the moment. So
yeah. Hey,
they're
Ripple.
printing beetle traps and robbing screens.
Really?
There's Joseph Ripple. So yeah, do you find those? What would you call them? Blueprints online that you can just use them and make them or something?
No, I designed them.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty good at it.
These 2 I did, and a couple other things, but yeah. But there's a ton of things online you can print for beekeeping too. Some of them are practical, some of them are. That was a great idea, but it used a lot of filament.
So what's the most impractical thing you've printed so far, Andy?
Most impractical thing?
Yeah.
Probably a bee exit. It took up the whole plate, and it really wasn't all that exciting when I got done with it. Bee escape.
Cheaper to make it out of wood, right?
Well, I'll probably get a lot of comments for this. I don't personally have a use for one, right? it's not like I'm trying to evacuate my bees over time. I need to move bees out of a box when I'm pulling honey supers. And that happens one frame at a time in my world, right? Lift the
Yep.
frame up, is it ready to go? Shake the bees off, put it in a box, put a towel over it, grab the next frame. So, I mean, I get that there's other uses for it, but for most of the people that I deal with, it's not putting on a bee escape for some period of time to try to drain a box or anything. So
Andy, do you use inner covers with the little holes?
I have some of those, yes.
Yeah, the
Most of my boxes have a 3-inch insulated lid on top of them with a cavity.
yeah, I was just saying for I saw like a guy that does 3D printing made like a diamond shaped bee escape. He put on the
Oh
back
yeah,
side of the hole. It was small, and then you put the honey supers on top. Bee goes through that hole, and they can't get back in. It's diamond shaped.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I've probably seen it. Probably thought about printing it, but ended up probably not doing it. So,
Yeah, a lot of the markets I go to sell honey, that
uh,
3D printing stuff is getting big. There was a table set up there. This guy had all kinds of stuff, expensive too.
that's not a good example. Hold on, that's a better example. So this is a beetle trap. This is not the only one like it, but I did draw this and print it. Um, so the idea, we have a huge beetle problem down here. Usually for the people that keep their bees at the edge of a tree line are the most affected and not in the sun. But the idea is you can put a very thin piece of gauze in this, and the idea is the bees will chase them into this, and they get caught in that gauze, and at least the bees aren't getting caught in the gauze. It's the alternative solution to the very effective Swiffer sheet, in my opinion.
Does that
So
snap open?
it's got a lid that slides open. You can kind of see
Oh,
it slid open.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've seen
You would
somebody else selling them on the internet.
you
Yeah,
would place that in the
They were
corner,
at Nobby or
up at
something
the
like
top,
that.
it could have
on top
been.
of the frames in the corner.
Um, it should fit under a inner cover, but the holes on the top would be pointless. So the holes on the side are the important part, or slide it in the front entrance on the bottom. And as they chase the beetles around, the beetles will look for a place to hide.
Did you
So,
send me some of those, Andy?
did I send you some?
Yeah.
They might have been pink.
Yeah, they were. Okay.
Yeah, I put a couple in your care package. Yeah,
Yeah.
or I left them with you at Nobby. Maybe that was it.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, you did. You
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Okay.
Now
Yes,
you
I
know what
want
they're
your
for, Bill.
I want
Oh, I knew what they were for when he gave them to me because he told me what they were. I just forgot that I had them. I still got stuff from Nobby I haven't gone through yet.
There's another thing around here. If I can put my hands on it.
So have you got one of your treatment things for plastic hives handy?
Yeah, I used it this weekend. In fact. So this is another. This is for a very specific box, but it's a robbing screen. It's a entrance on the top, holes in the front, snaps down in front of the box. But it's for a very specific brand of box. So each 4 of those take 8 hours to print.
That's a lot of time.
I don't know.
So
So Mark Miller had a good comment for you, Andy.
what's that?
Make a small hive beetle trap that's built into a frame.
Well, you're halfway there if you're using plastic frames with the holes on the side. Just
Yeah,
got to
you
figure
are.
out how to make that a bit more of a trap.
Yeah.
You probably, I think servicing it would be problematic because you could almost do that. It requires some, well, either way, you have to do something. Um, you weaken the top bar and you make something that fits inside the top bar, or you figure out you're going to sacrifice part of the frame for the purpose of catching a beetle. My opinion, the challenge would be servicing it because it's going to get hard to service when there's wax and propolis all over it and bees are everywhere. That would
Yep.
be you just don't have that much space to work with. So for us, I mean, I can almost tell you which yard we'll go to that will have hive beetles and which ones won't. If they are in the sun, I have a very small hive beetle problem. If they are sitting at the edge of the canopy of the forest or the tree, the drip line, we will have hive beetles. We'll spend 5 minutes solving hive beetle problems. And that's even with barriers on the ground, trying to mitigate the larva getting to the dirt. I mean, I had one guy build a whole concrete slab that's got 2 steps on it. I still have a beetle problem there. So they're brutal.
You're in Texas,
I mean,
correct?
yeah. So we're already in bees. I was in them Sunday. I was in 2 Sundays in a row, and so last Sunday looked hard once the weather kind of came up to temp a little bit. When I started, it was about 38, 40 degrees, so I didn't want to get too disruptive. But by the afternoon, it was 60, 70 degrees. Looked really hard for eggs. Didn't see them. This past Sunday, yesterday, those same boxes already have capped brood in them. So they were there. I just couldn't see them, right? So we're into our first brood cycle here at this point.
Do you
So
treat in the spring, Andy?
yes,
So when and what will you be treating with?
I do not have a YouTube channel. I will treat with OAV, the oxalic acid vapor.
In the spring?
Yeah. And then I sometime in the summer I will put OAE on, and then we'll rinse, lather, and repeat come fall. I may tinker with that a little bit come fall with some other ideas, but
So you in the
I have
spring
not used Amitraz. Huh?
in the spring, so you'll hit them, 4 or 5 times, 4 days apart, 5 days apart, whatever.
Yep. Yep.
So I read a comment the other day that the Viroxan runs hive beetles out too. So I don't know how true that is.
It'll run your bank account out too.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it.
So we have a retired vet that's in our local club, and he's pretty data driven, and he will swear by peppermints. Putting peppermints in each corner of the hive.
Really?
Yeah.
For the
He
hive
says
beetle?
that for the
Yeah,
hive beetle.
Cayman Reynolds did a video on that years ago, and it
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah.
Well, really, that all came about through Earl, Hillbilly Earl. He's
Yeah.
the one that brought that to light through YouTube and all.
Yeah. So I think one of the other guys in the club that is working on his master beekeeper program through Montana, I think he's toying with the idea of doing his capstone project with possibly adding peppermint to pollen patties to see if that'll keep the beetle out of the pollen patty.
Well, I know Georgia right now is experimenting with GrubX, whatever's in GrubX in pollen patties.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. I don't know about that, but yeah.
It won't hurt the bees, but it'll kill the beetles. I do.
Yeah.
I think You go to Bob Binney's channel. He's talking to Keith Del Plane, I think it was, about that. They were talking about a year ago. They were working
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah, I watched a guy in Florida, this has been a while, who was talking about putting grub eggs just on the ground around the hives, right? Just to help, because that beetle has to come out in its larval state to get to the ground to finish its life cycle to the beetle. So
Yeah.
But-
It's got to come out and fall in the dirt.
Yeah.
We keep stone in the front of ours
yeah.
because it can't get to the dirt that way.
Well, I agree with that premise, but the ones that I have that are sitting on concrete,
I'm surprised that you have beetle problems there. With
they
that.
got to the dirt somehow. So
And they're in 100% sunlight.
no, those are sitting at the edge of the tree line. I actually had the homeowner cut down more trees last year, trying to open it up a little bit further. But
How does diatomaceous earth kill a small hive beetle?
It's
charge
a
its body.
pesticide.
No, it's not a pesticide.
Well, it's listed as a pesticide.
I don't think it's a pesticide. It's very sharp edges. And so when the beetle comes in contact with it, it shards its body. It's the same stuff you use in pool filtration systems. You can get it in
It's like-
food grade if you want, but
it's like putting razors in the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It cuts the bug.
And that is or is not harmful to a honeybee.
No.
it would be harmful to a honeybee if they came in contact with it. It would cut them just like it cuts anything else.
Yeah.
And the problem of it is, it gets wet, then it ain't no good anymore.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I saw the bug farmer, I think, or someone had trays of them. He filled up trays in his bottom board, and I think he had an issue with it getting wet and nasty. And
Well, especially if you're in a high humidity area, that stuff is very dry. It'll absorb that humidity. So you got to change it pretty frequently.
Yep. Every time it rains, you got to put new down. You get a heavy dew, you got to put more down.
Yeah.
So
we'll have people use it in a beetle trap that they chase the beetles into. And instead of using apple cider vinegar and mineral oil or whatever, they'll put that in there. And that way you're not trying to balance this hive beetle trap with a liquid in it while you're trying to get it into your boxes and losing track of where it is and spilling it all over the place. And
yeah.
so
Ryan, you have beetle problems?
nope,
I don't
not
either.
at all. I don't know what it is. I don't know. The people that are in my club that are near sand, like a sandy ground, have
Yep.
some. But where I'm at, I don't know what it is. But
You got
I might
clay.
have, in the heart of beetle season, I might have 5 beetles I see,
That's like me.
like maybe 5. They don't bother me at all.
Now, see, I like Annie. I under and they're getting kind of rotten now, but I put carpet down underneath my hive stands, and I did it because of cutting grass. But it seemed for me, I go out at least a foot or two past the front of the hives and also the back of the hive, and
Yeah.
I say it breaks the life cycle, or at least it helps break it. But
Yeah.
mine are also 100% sunlight.
Yeah.
And I got a
So I'm
guy
setting
right
up a new
the road.
yard,
He
and
put
we're
his
gonna
hive
put
underneath
stall
the
mats
tree,
down.
and underneath the tree, and he's just overrun with beetles. Of course, he quit. He quit after a while. So I don't use beetle traps or any of that stuff. You know,
I usually have a roll of Swiffer sheets in my hand.
Yeah. You use Swiffer sheets.
Yeah. A lot of it's about efficiency, right? And if
Yeah.
something's hard to do, you're not likely to continue to do it. And
Right.
and hard is really not the right word, as much as it is. You're trying to minimize the number of steps to get to where you're going, right? While being as efficient as possible, so as
Yep.
effective as possible. So,
Highland uses water softener, salt crystals. I don't know whatever that's for, beetles or
water
what.
softener, what?
Water softener,
crystals.
salt
Oh,
crystals.
okay. Yeah.
And guinea fowl.
Good to kill the weeds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not harmful to the bee, really. They can
No, it
use a
would,
little bit of salt from time to
yep.
time, actually.
And it would make the ground alkaline.
Hmm.
Salting the soil. Yeah, he's killing the weeds, grass or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were talking about pollination earlier, Charlie, and I had mentioned the balloons. So one of the universities was exploring using kind of these tiny, not really tiny, but think about a 2-inch circle balloon that they preload with pollen, but they could float them out over whatever was being pollinated and have a controlled way to burst them, or whatever the right word is. So that pollen would then fall into hopefully the right places, right? It's
Well,
just it's an
I can tell you right
experimentation.
now. I can tell you right now that's antiquated because right now they got drones, and I'm
Yeah,
talking drones the size of a pickup truck bed, you know, a
yeah,
12-foot bed or better,
yeah.
and they're fertilizing and spraying, and
Yep.
all they have to do is put a granulated, you know,
Well,
fertilizer spreader and run it across the field, and there you go. There's your pollen
one of
going
the
in.
one of the challenges I foresee with the drone is the downdraft on the. You could say could be helpful when you go to release that very fine pollen,
Hmm.
but it could also be too much and it scatters it beyond until they find a way to control that. Right? You're either going to
Yeah.
have to carry that lower in the drone, or find a way to tail it behind, kind of
Right.
thing. So
Well, hopefully we don't have to go through all that.
Yeah, really.
how many have followed along with what BeeWise is doing? Has anybody seen one?
What's Be Wise?
Don't know what it is.
So BeeWise is a startup out of Israel. They're about, well, I'm not sure how old they are, but they've really been in the news the past 3 or 4 years. They've taken I'll describe it, but it's not exactly what it looks like in person from what the models I've seen. But think of a container, so a 20-foot container, and they can put 12 or 14 hives in it. Each hive has its own opening, and they open to the back. So the container is the front entrance for the bees, but it's instrumented, automated, such that they're getting constant telemetry from it, so they can do air sampling. So if somebody sprays a pesticide, right, they can remotely shut the front entrances, sacrifice the forager, save the colony, so they're not dragging that all back in there, and do other automation steps inside the box for frame treatments. If it's a mite or whatever, they see something wrong. Still requires a beekeeper to some degree, but now they have real-time telemetry to understand which ones they need to go to, and it moves as a whole container.
I've seen that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
does it scale? I don't think it probably does, but they sure have a lot of startup money for it. And I think we'll learn something from it. It might be a few years, but I think we'll learn some things from it.
It's possible.
There was a couple here from Florida. They actually had those units close to where they live down there.
Oh, did they? Yeah.
They're yellow looking, aren't they?
Yeah, yellow, white, and green, I think. Got stripes on them.
Melanie Cruz or something like that.
Yeah. They're an interesting story to watch. There's a few of those out there.
Mm-hmm.
The
Hey,
imitation
Matt.
honey producers are another one that are well funded, by the way.
I think they thought that's what the AZ hives were going to do, is to be like that Beewise hive or container. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Melanie
it
and
probably
Dennis
has some of that
Cruz.
thought in it based on the design. Yeah.
Yeah. The folks I was talking about is Melanie and Dennis Cruz out of Florida.
yeah.
They had those boxes close to where they live at. They were talking about it one time.
Hey, Will.
Hey, Will.
Yeah, I visited with them while I was at ABF and was trying to figure out when one is going to show up in Texas. I don't know that one really would have a need to, but I was curious.
Mm. Whereabouts in Texas are you at, Andy? What town?
Magnolia, a little town north of Houston.
And see, where's Philip? He's
He's near Dallas.
near Dallas. Okay.
Yeah, Anna, if it's who I think you're thinking of. Blake?
No, Philip. KT
Oh.
RTX honeybees.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure where he's at.
Yeah, he's up near Dallas.
Yeah, if you draw a line through our state, and that line being I-35, most of the beekeeping is in the eastern part of the state. When you get west of there, it becomes pretty dry and arid pretty quickly.
Yeah, I was wondering what kind of forage you would have out there. I know Jeremy's out there on West Texas, and he's got mesquite, and he takes
Yeah.
his hives up to cotton fields and does
Yep.
cotton.
Yep.
He had gotten out of it. He had about, I don't know, 100 hives or more, and he got out of it. He was going to move back to Georgia or someplace that all kind of fell through, and now he's kind of getting back into it and stuff.
Yeah. So we would consider where I'm at kind of the Gulf Coast. So, and it's not many more miles beyond me, but the number one nectar producing plant we have is the Chinese tallow.
Okay. Yeah, Lee there, Kodiak Farms talks about that a lot, getting that kind of, he's out of Louisiana.
Yeah, they would have a lot of it too. Yeah.
That's a hit or miss flow,
Yeah.
right?
Philip lives in the suburb of North Dallas.
Yeah,
His
Richland.
farm is about an hour south of Dallas.
Oh,
And then
okay.
you're in South Texas, in the
I'm in
southern.
Magnolia, so more central east, just north of Houston. So if you find Houston on the map, I'm just north of there from downtown about an hour.
Okay.
So what have you been up to, Will?
Well, went out and bought a wax dipping tank and put a check in the mail to buy 856 pounds of wax for about $2,000.
Got to make all kinds of money.
Went out and bought a flatbed trailer and bought a truck to pull it. And
Wow.
now I'm looking for a skid steer. So I am like, my head is spinning.
Here comes California.
Yep.
I was going to ask you, did I see that Tom flew out and he's visiting Central Valley right now? Did you guys
Who?
see that?
Who?
Tom, the other guy that's usually on here?
No, Todd, you mean?
Loma Vista or was it Loma Vista?
No, not Loma Vista.
That's Todd.
Hey, Mac?
Wasn't it Tom Mack?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you talking about McAvee Apiaries? That Tom,
Yeah.
he's in Ohio. He's out in Cincinnati, in Ohio.
He's
Well,
been
I
in the
thought I
chat.
saw something on his Facebook that he was flying out to Central Valley.
Maybe he is. I don't know. He's on here tonight. Tom.
He's in the chat.
Is he?
Yeah, he's been in the chat.
Yeah, I thought I saw something about it. So
Yeah, Tom's in Cincinnati. He's
Okay.
he's kind of on the west side of Cincinnati.
Come on in here, Tom.
You know those entrances Tom posted on that video of those hives he was making? I bet you Andy would be able to 3D print those T entrances too.
I bet he would too.
You know what I'm talking? The with the wooden ones that Tom was making.
Yep.
That would be real easy to 3D print and design that.
Yeah, it would.
What is it?
Yeah, you'd have to watch his video. It's kind of Bill. You might be able to explain it.
It's, I don't know. I can't explain it. You'd have to see it.
It's where the bees would come into the hive. They would come in and they'd hit a wall, and they'd enter the hive from left and right. So like imagine a T. So
Yeah,
it's for help with robbing and some other things. Tom explained it in his video, but
It's
he
like beekeeping on the warm side, if you know what I mean, Andy. Instead of coming in the front, if you beekeep on the warm side, you come in from the side entrance, and the first thing you run into is the side of a frame.
Oh, I'll have to go find this video and watch it.
Well,
Yeah.
wasn't he talking about having entrances on the side of the box instead of on
Yes.
the ends of the box?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
on the inside of that box of that bottom board, he has another piece he built,
Oh,
the actual entrance piece, and I believe anyone with a 3D printer would be able to come up with that. It would probably last longer.
Come in here, Tom.
He's converting to the one
Explain
way.
this thing to Andy.
yep.
He's
Yeah,
trying
he
to-
had a whole talk about it here the last time with that it's better coming in the sides of the frame
Yep.
instead of the ends of the frame.
Yeah, and I
just
believe it.
put sustainable apiaries. And Billy Davis did all that 10 years ago before he passed away.
Well, what's old is new again. I mean, everything that can be invented's been invented, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it'll all come back around sooner or later. And you know, I'm selling more deep boxes than I am mediums right now.
Meaning what?
Well, everybody's kind of
There he
switching
is.
up.
Here I am.
Hey, Tom.
How's everybody doing?
Good. You got that little piece handy?
He's got it.
They're out in the barn. I don't have any with me. But basically, I did a few cutouts myself, and I studied all of Jeff's, Mr. Ed, and Randy's 628 Dirt Roosters YouTube's cutouts. And every one of their cutouts, well, a lot of them I couldn't tell because they wouldn't show what I wanted to see. But every bee that went into her house had basically a 45 on each side of the entrance, about a half an inch away from it, maybe an inch away from it. And then they had a straight one going across to make like a U shape at the entrance. And I go, oh, that's smart. That's keeping all the cold air or the hot air getting into the hive. It's blocking it. And I started noticing that. I actually asked 628 Dirt Rooster 2 years ago. And when I saw him at the North American Honeybee Expo this year, he pretty much confirmed to me that I was correct. So I can't do that with Langstroth hive. So I made a plastic piece that basically takes the air, blocks it, and pushes the cold air or hot air out to the front side inside of the box along the front frame. So the bees will go in forward, and then they have to make a left or right hand turn to get into the hive. So it's like a T.
Yeah,
And,
okay.
and if like a wasp got in there or something, I don't think it'd be able to get out.
That's correct. Or robin. If another beehive tries to get in there, it won't get back out either. Anything that goes into a box thinks its escape route is at the front of that box. So I have a block. I put a 1-inch block inside my T So when it tries to get out, it's going to hit the corner of the front of the inside of the Langstroth box, the hive, and this is my block of wood. So it actually it's anti-robbing, anti-yellow jackets getting in, anything else. Even small hive beater larvae won't be able to get out.
Well, that same idea. The guy out, he comes on the show from New Zealand where they had the little blue
Yeah,
entrance screens. They go in and they have to go up.
I did something similar some years ago, about the same time he did. But then I studied more of the videos that I could get my hands on YouTube's, and I go, oh, all the bees do that. Even the warm weather bees down south built them the same way.
Yeah, his name was Kyle. He said,
I'm trying to mimic what bees do naturally if they have an open area.
but now like Mr. Ed down there, Jeff, he made a box and a bottom board, and then the bees actually had to go underneath the edge of the box. There's a little dip in there.
Right.
They did it that way, but then there was always a heat issue there, I thought, and all.
And the bees can vent the box easier too, being a smaller entrance, because they can create a Venturi effect.
That
Get
makes
that air
sense.
flowing even faster. So
Okay, I will go looking for one of these.
Yeah.
well, I'm an engineer, so I like to design stuff.
All right.
So I look at
That's good
at
to
this
know.
Langstroth hive, and I
I got to
go,
write this
I could
down.
make I could make a better box than he made. He made a good box, but I can make a better box. I do that with any industry I get into. I like to tinker with stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of fun.
Hey, Roy,
Take
Yeah,
ask
things
a
apart, see
question
how they
on,
work.
oops, sorry.
What's the name of your apiary, Tom?
What's that?
What's the name of your apiary or your YouTube channel?
Maccabees, Mackabs.
Hey, Roy
I
asked a
just did a
question here
little.
a second ago about where I got my wax at. I got it from CanadaWax.com. There's a Tony at CanadaWax.com is who I talked to for Roy. He asked a question earlier.
So did you smuggle it across the river there at night or what?
Well, am I going to have to pay a tariff for it now or what? You know what I mean?
What's the delivery time on that, Will?
Well, it's actually,
It depends how you paddle.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Exactly.
They actually, I live just south of Harrisburg, PA, and they have a warehouse just outside of Philadelphia. So I'm just going to drive down and pick it up.
So they ship it from Canada to Philly.
I'm hoping they got it in Philly. You know what I mean? That it's, they have a warehouse of it and it's sitting there. This is kind of my first foray into the whole deal. So I'll let you know as it goes along.
Right. You'll be in the dip and wax business pretty soon.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
will.
We'll see.
I'm gonna start sending
Well,
boxes to you to dip.
What kind of wax did you? What kind of wax did you buy?
I don't know the exact blend, Tom, but it's a microcrystalline paraffin mix, is my understanding.
I'll give you an FYI. You want to go with as much microcrystalline versus paraffin, because paraffin's a one layer type wax, where the microcrystalline is a 3-layer wax, and its melting point is like 185 degrees, and paraffin's melting point is 130 degrees. And if you're down south, or even where I'm at in the 49th parallel, in the summertime, that wax will start melting. Your boxes will start sliding.
Yep, I've heard that.
So
I've heard that. You got to have the right
I'm
blend.
phasing all that out. I'm only buying monocrystalline and getting that, eventually I won't have any paraffin left in my wax.
Whose dipping tank do you have?
I dip.
No, whose tank did you buy? Make your own, Tom?
I got one of those 55-gallon drums.
Oh, okay.
Wax is expensive. So I only got to do 5, 10 boxes, 10 pieces a year. Or I might do a couple for some friends and they only need a few. So I can do like a deep box and a bottom board or a deep box and a lid and a half at a time.
Okay.
So I'll do one, flip the other one over, put another one in, flip the other one over.
It was kind of interesting. Now this is a little bit driven on temperature, but you can dip a box for the first time, and I'm going to say, just for round numbers, let's say it's a 3-minute process. And then if you want, you can also jump in and give them a second coating after they cool down. And that's the boxes that have that actual little bit of wax that you could scrape with your thumb. It's like a second coating, but you do it when the box is cold, so it sticks to the outside of it more. And then I've heard that, or they were, part of educating myself, I talked to these factory guys, and they talk about, actually, if you have an issue or if you need to sterilize a box, you can put it in there and cook it for like 8 minutes and it'll kill anything. So Tom, I don't know what your experience is with any of that stuff. Do you have any?
I boil mine for 15 minutes because
Oh, do you?
I found out it takes about 12 minutes to get all that moisture out of the wood. It actually will boil, or actually foam up. And
Okay.
around the 12th to 13th minute, the foaming dissipates back down. And so I just rounded up to 15 minutes.
And that's when you got everything out of it and it's good.
All the moisture out of the wood. That's just from experience, me doing it a few years now.
Yeah. Well, so we'll see once I get all this together, what's going on.
So when people tell me they're dipping for 3 or 5 minutes, they're only dipping. They're not getting the moisture out of the wood.
Okay. Yeah, because I want to
You
cook
don't.
all the moisture out.
It takes probably the first 5 minutes, I'd say, before you even start seeing the foaming, the
Oh, really?
moisture coming up out of the wax, out
What
of the wood.
temperature? What temperature were you running?
Oh, when it started, it's pretty hot temperature. I don't know exactly what it is.
Like 250, 300 degrees, something like
It's
that.
300. Yeah, it's 300 plus.
Okay.
You're talking about doing that second dipping, Will. That's what James did up here in Canada. He made his own wax melter and he dipped the boxes, then let them cool, and then did a real quick dip.
Yep.
And I don't know whether that really serves a purpose or not.
I've got some boxes that are that way. I mean, some of them are cooked and it all absorbed in and there's not really any on the surface. But then I've got some other boxes that do have, I mean, you can feel it. There's an actual coating on it. It's like an extra layer of paint, it seems like. And I don't think most people do it because it's kind of an additional step that's questionable. But, it was interesting talking to the factory guy, getting the whole skinny on it.
Right.
So, Andy, there's the link right there on the screen for Tom's video.
Yeah, it's like 5 minutes long. It's a short one.
Yeah, I
Maybe
saw
8
that. I
minutes.
clicked it and got disconnected from this. So, but I have it now. I will watch that and try to find a few minutes to see what it takes to make that. But I'm going to jump out, Bill. I just sent you a note. I really appreciate Bill, Charlie, the rest of you for having me this evening. It was a lot of fun.
Don't be a stranger. Come back anytime.
I will. Yes, sir. Thanks, guys. Have a great evening, everyone.
All right.
See
Have a
you
good
now.
evening.
Yeah, I was able to buy that 55 stainless steel drum for $10. So people
Was
almost give them
Is
away.
it a square
Yeah.
drum or a round drum?
It's a round drum. It does 1.5 boxes, 1.5 deeps.
And it's deep enough to do that.
Yeah,
I presume you're laying it down.
yeah, long ways. It's easier to pull them out too when you got to lift up the wood. I wear rubber gloves. I have
You
gloves
don't do,
just dedicated.
you don't do it barehanded?
No, not quite.
That's not a real beekeeper.
Then I got a little tray that I set them on that when it drips off, it drips it back into the drum. Just a little setup. I'll show somebody. I'll YouTube it.
Tom, did I see something on Facebook? Were you traveling? I thought I saw you were traveling.
Not me.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't. I've traveled in my past. I've been all over the world. I've
No, I
been to
thought I saw
Japan.
something that you were flying. I thought I saw Tom was flying out to Central Valley in California.
Mm.
So,
No, I think that's probably JW.
Yeah, JW.
oh,
He's
I
out in his
try not to. I try not to travel anymore. I don't know how many millions of. I used to be a Gold Star member of the Million Mile Mark Flyer, whatever they used to have on the planes when I was younger.
That's a lot of miles, Tom.
Yeah, I've been all over Europe. I've been, like I said, Japan. I've been to Taiwan, Taipei,
Did you fly with
down south.
JW at all? Did you
I've
fly with
been to
JW
his.
at all on JW Force One?
Nah, I never had the pleasure. I'm not rich enough to be on that plane. I don't have that inside edge.
So what kind of truck and stuff did you get there, Will?
I picked up a 10-ton tag along that's got a 20-foot flatbed on it and a 5-foot beaver tail. And then
Wow.
I picked up an old International. I went cheap on the truck. I went cheap on the trailer, but I went cheap on the truck, and I got a International 4700 with their
Yeah,
DT 466. That's their good straight six international
Yeah, it's
motor
been
in it.
around forever.
Yeah.
DT 466.
Yep, that's international straight six. Yep.
Yeah. You can't kill that motor.
And it's got an Allison. It does have an Allison behind it. So
8 or a 10.
no, I think it's more like a 6. It's an Allison. I have the build sheet. It's a Allison 545. I don't know if they had the 8s and the 10s on those. I'm not sure.
Is it a stick shift or what?
No, it's an automatic. It's got the big
Oh.
one of the Allison transmissions in it. It needs a little bit of love, but I can deal with it. It's a below CDL. It's like a 25.2, 25,200 pounds on it. So,
all right,
and
I'm hopping back off. I just hopped
Thanks,
on to
Tom.
See
talk
ya.
about my
yeah,
little
Tom.
Langstroth 2.0.
I'm gonna hop off of here too, Bill. I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm gonna get back in the chat.
All right.
Well, you're no fun. Stay
Yeah.
in here.
Yeah, just hang out.
Yeah, I gotta go upstairs.
Mm.
I'll see y'all.
See you
All right, we'll
later.
see.
Good
Yeah.
night. So what you say you're looking for a skid steer again, huh?
Yeah, I haven't. I've had enough balls up in the air between running out to that Western PA Bee conference last weekend.
Yeah, how was that?
It was good. I tell you, there was, and I'm not hating on anything, but I was out at the PA State, beekeeping meeting. It was in the fall 2 years ago up at
You're
Penn
talking
State.
about up at Penn State.
Yeah, and there's
Yeah,
a very small vendor area there, and it was cool, and they had a bunch of speakers in there and stuff. I was kind of I was pleasantly surprised that there was, I don't know, 20, 25 vendors. They had a gymnasium. They had it at this Monroeville school, and they had it in the school, and they had the stadium set up with all these vendors in it. So it was cool. Met some different people. I rode out with another beekeeper that we split we split fuel and split a hotel. Rob House is he's a little guy going commercial. I don't know that I'd say he's a little guy anymore, but he's going commercial, and he wanted to get out there and get a presence, and he's going to bring a bunch of package bees up, and then he's going to drop them off on the way, at different stores and different shops. And so we rode out there together. I just kind of wanted to see what it was and kind of pick his brain and get to know him a little bit. And it was a good trip. It was like 4 hours out, and then we got out there late Friday night and then did that Saturday and then powered back in the ugly weather, Saturday evening coming back. But it all worked out good. And it was a good experience. I learned all kinds of stuff. So
Would you go back again?
no, I don't need to go back. Nothing against anything there. I thought it was great. You know what I mean? But I just, I don't need to go back unless I think I made a connection, or I made an interesting connection there, on some of my candy board stuff. If this guy ends up wanting to buy some of them out of Oregon, I might have found the right little guy, to help me make a portion of that, to take the heavy lifting off of me. But we'll see.
Okay.
It's just stuff going on this weekend that I'm just not sure about, Charlie. I'm not sure about this guy this weekend.
Yeah, I'm looking at the damn weather. That's what's kind of worrying me a little bit. Fridays,
Oh, yeah?
I can get down there. It's not a problem. Getting home maybe might be the problem. I'm not sure.
Oh, really? I haven't looked that far. I think we're supposed to have a little bit of snow tomorrow night up here.
That's right. I'm getting 3 to 4 inches here Tuesday and
Yeah.
Wednesday.
You're getting more than I am.
And below me, they're getting 5 to 6.
Yeah, it's crazy that maybe Bill will see more snow than we will out of that.
Oh, I'm sure I will. I'm sure I will. So
yeah, I kind of slowed my roll on the skid steer. I'm kind of working through. I want to make sure I get this truck squared away, kind of where I want it, and then I'm going to look at the skid steer piece of it. So
now they're saying 4 to 7 Tuesday.
Yeah.
In your area?
Yeah.
Yeah, Roy, or I see where Joseph, I'm going to call him Joseph. Mine's the B3. Depends on what you're going to do with it. It's whether or not you got enough room for the B3. And if you don't have that room, then the B1 might be the better idea.
Yeah.
The only thing is depending on how many boxes you're going to lift with it depends on how manhandling you have to work with that thing. But
Yeah.
both of them, you still have to, it's, I don't know. You still got to work it. Depends on how much weight you're picking up.
I mean, it is what it is, but I was surprised that B3's, I think it's like $1,400 or something like that. Then it's $250 to ship the thing because it's so,
It's
so big.
$1,650.
Yeah, all out the door with shipping.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I paid for it.
And then if you have to pay any tariffs or customs fees.
Well, yeah.
So,
But
did you guys talk earlier? Did you see Scott put a little video up?
I haven't seen Scott's video.
I haven't seen Scott's video.
Yeah, I think he posted a little video here within the last day or two where he went out and went through his bees and identified his dead outs, and I think he put some food on the ones that were still
I
up.
did. That was last week sometime, I believe.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just came across it today.
Yep. But so anyway, so as far as you're concerned, Bill, this weekend's thing is a go, right?
As of right now, yes, unless they change the weather forecast for Saturday, because they're still calling for just rain. So now if they change it to where there's going to be snow or ice mixed in with it, that's a different story.
And we're not handling bees this weekend, right? I don't need to bring veil and any of that
Nope.
stuff.
Not handling any bees this weekend, not handling any bees until the
April.
grafting class
Yep.
April.
in April.
Yeah, if you pull a pin, could you pull a pin on that maybe midday Friday? Because I'm going to drive down. I think I'm going to drive down Friday night and get a room there.
Oh, if I pull the pin on it, it's gonna be pulled probably Thursday.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I'm going to be leaving Friday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll pull the pin on it Thursday because Charlie's leaving early Friday morning. You're gonna leave midday Friday.
Yep.
And I also have people here that they're hard to get a hold of sometimes.
Okay.
So if I pull a pin, it'll be Thursday.
Yeah, Ripple or Joseph. Mine's a B3, which is the hydraulic cylinder, which they're electric over hydraulic or electric over the B1's more of a winch system. That's how that works. You definitely want to don't get, I've seen some people have that dolly style where they're going to sit there and crank it like a boat winch. And
I bet the bees love all that vibration and the clickety clackety of that.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
Mike, I don't know how much my brother's got up there right now. I talked to him over the weekend, and he said it had been snowing for 3 days. So I haven't talked to him today. I tried to call him, and he didn't answer the phone. So I'm assuming he's either pushing snow, lifting snow, or blowing snow. So
where does he live at?
Morrisville, Vermont.
Oh,
Oof.
So
too cold for me.
yeah, why would anybody move from Tampa, Florida, to Morrisville, Vermont?
God, that's weird.
Unless he's a snow fanatic like skiing or snowmobiling. Whew.
Well, I know why. He told me why he was moving. He told me because my niece was having a baby, her first child. So he wanted to be near his grandkids.
I guess.
So, yeah. So, oh, well, that's his choice.
Yeah, Ripple, Joseph, don't worry about, if you don't want to crank nothing, get the one electric.
Yeah.
The one I got, the main difference between the B1 and the B3, I got the 3, which has got the hydraulic piston on it, but I can set the height of the grabber forks and hook up to a box, and where you have the big set of wheels, it's actually acts as like a seesaw. I can just push down on the handles and it'll pop the box right up into the air, as long as it's done, as long as you've unstuck it from the other box with a Hive tool. And you don't really have to use the hydraulics except for setting the height of the arms. After that, you don't really mess with it that much. And that also makes the electric battery, the power pack, last. I haven't charged it once. It's got that little, solar panel on there, which I don't think really does a whole lot.
Does it charge the battery?
Yeah, it charges the battery, but I don't think it really. It doesn't. I don't think it really does a lot. It does, microamps, but I've never charged a battery ever since I've had it. It's it's been fully charged when I got it, and it's still there.
Wow.
I didn't like the other one. That B1, you come up to it and you raise the arms up and you hook into the box, and then you have to hit the button again to raise the box up because it's like an elevator. It's got to go up. Then you can rear it back and go with it. With mine, you raise the arms up to a certain height and you kind of pick the handles up. You tip the fingers down like that and to go into the box. Actually, what I do is you got your fingers like that with the flappers, and the flappers go across the box and they flip up like that. And then you raise your handles up in the back, and those arms are going down like that. And then those flaps flap into the handle holds. And then you just push down on your handles that you run this machine with, and it cocks that back. It'll bring that box right up, and then I just back it up and let it sit there in midair.
Can you adjust that to come in from either the backside or the side of it? Like if you're on a pallet, you could make it wider to come in.
If you're on a pallet system, like Brad is up there with like a two-way pallet.
Mm-hmm.
What they do up there in Canada is they don't come from the back because the boxes are tight together on that clip system.
Mm-hmm.
So they come from the wide side, the
20 inch. Yep.
The 19th inch side. So they're coming from that side of it. If you watch Ian up there, he does the same thing. He comes with that machine on the side and grabs it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And you can adjust those arms out this way. And that's the first thing.
Yours are adjustable though.
Yeah, they are adjustable.
Okay.
I do find one of my arms, I really need to drill a little hole in there and put a pin in there because after a while, I got one that I have to push back in. It's got a knob you can turn, and it kind of creeps out on me a little bit. And my clips have kind of not hit the handles one time, and it kind of went like that on me.
I bet that's a pucker factor.
When you just piss me off, Bees didn't,
Piss me off.
How much weight does it pick up? I think it's 280 some pounds, Joe. I'll put it to you this way. Them hives right behind me, there are 3 mediums. And it could be full of honey, and I can strap that hive together with a ratchet strap. Make sure that you don't put the strap over where the handholds are. Go in there, and I would pick it up from about the mid box, from the middle of the box. I picked that hive. That was the first thing I did when I got it. I had a rotten hive rack, and I picked the whole hive up, and it was like this time of year, cold. Went out there, set it down I put a medium box down because it wouldn't go all the way to the ground to release. So you set it on a box, release, go over there and grab the other hive, pulled it up, picked it up, pulled it back, and just kind of let it tip over and sit on the ground. And then I worked on the rack, and then I put the hives back on. I did everything by myself. You got a big heavy ass hive like that, you better have 2 people if you're going to try to do it by hand. Now, I seen Glade out there in Utah where he did that moving video where he stacked, looked like to me, 2 mediums, and then he manhandled that hive and slid it over on top of those 2 medium boxes. And then he picked up, he must have had a pallet under, like a little small board pallet underneath of them boxes. And then he reared it up with a hand truck, and he had it to where it's about the same height as his rack. And he was sliding it across over onto them racks. He did all right for as much maneuvering he's did. Mine, I could have went up there, and I see that's the one thing about mine, the B3. I can grab that hive from the front or the back. And from what I seen Joseph's, he went over there to Mr. Ed's on that video he did a year or so ago. He couldn't go up to the front of the hive because of the landing board. Can't get close enough. That's what he said on the video. He had to go around the other side to get close enough. Got to have that thing just like a regular fork or hand truck. It's got to be tight in order for it to grab the handles. With mine's like a front end loader. It reaches. I can reach out, and I got enough space in front of them wheels to grab that hive on either side. But I mean, and like I said in some of my videos, I'd have, let's say the Demery, I'd have 2 honey supers and a brood chamber up on top. So I got 3 mediums, and then I got a couple mediums on the rack, which is the other part of the brood chamber. When I separated it, that's where the bees got, a little irritated. But all the bees up in those other 3 boxes, they don't really, they know something's going on, but they're not up in the air flying around. They're just inside hanging on. And then you got the bees in the other, in the brood chamber where I'm going to be digging around in there. And then once you get it all put back together, you just go up there. And I've gotten it to the point where you kind of, once you learn how to run it, that back edge of those hives or those boxes use as a leading edge, and it's like a hinge. You set it there like that, and then you just drop that. You can get it squared up, this way, and you just kind of hinge it right back down on top of the hive. You might be just a smidgen off, but not much. I mean, anymore, like I lift some stuff out there at the mill, and my right shoulder just hurts like crazy. It's probably a rotator cuff tore. It's slightly torn or something in there. And it's savior. I was doing, I think it was Aprivar strips or Format Pro strips, and I'm taking the top box off, which is full of honey. So I broke it apart with the hive tool, grabbed it with a machine and raised that box up, and then, take off the strips and put that box back on. And people say, well, it takes longer. Well, it does, and it really doesn't. You get done yanking 20 boxes, you're just about wore out. And all.
Yeah, you are.
When you load boxes on that, Charlie, will that thing stand there by itself holding them boxes, or do you have to have your?
Yeah, you got to balance it, but it'll stay there.
It'll stay there. So
in the back end, you got the big wheels in the front, then you got some small caster wheels in the back. And if it was like, I was talking to Mike Berry about it, he said, you got to have to kind of have it high in the air to kind of balance it. And I'm like, yeah, sort of, but I can go in there and pick that up and back it straight back. And there's a certain angle there that throws the weight to those back wheels, and it'll just sit there. Now you have to kind of watch it this way, depending on how much, flatness of your ground.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, but I was wondering, like you were talking, you lift the mediums and that deep up on top, the brood chamber off of that Damare,
Mm-hmm. You don't have to have it up in the air. Now you can lower it down if you feel uncomfortable. It might nose over. Okay. I thought about all that one before I bought it. Oh, I can put a stand there, like a footstool, and let it nose on that. I found I didn't have to do any of that. It's a certain height, and it doesn't have to be high up in the air for it to throw the weight to the back of the machine. It's kind of engineered to where it, at a very low height, you can get that done without having a problem with it.
And if you're coming into it from the back and you lean it back, it's not like the frames are going to slide to one side. Like if you come into the side of it, they don't want to collapse down on themselves.
Well, you got to remember, let's face it, your frames are glued.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go back an hour and the damn boxes are glued again, and you got to pop them. They're not going to just come up off of there. Maybe a little bit easier because you broke all that burr comb in between the frames, but the bees have got all that stuff glued down.
Yeah,
a lot.
Well, gentlemen, it's 10:15.
Yep.
I know there's snow coming on the way in the morning, but we still do. There's people on here that still need to go to work tomorrow, so I'm going to be respectful of them so they can get some sleep tonight. And it's been fun. I'll see you Wednesday night on Nancy's chat, and Friday night
I might be at Bill's.
Yeah, Charlie might be here. You never know.
Yeah.
We'll see how the weather goes. So
I'm hoping I'll be at the Comfort Inn by then.
You never know. So everybody, y'all have a good night, and we will see you Wednesday night and probably Friday night too. So have a good evening. Don't forget to smash the like and the subscribe button on your way out if you're new to the channel. So thank you very much for viewing. Good night.